Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched his sharpest attack yet on the new opposition front India, even as Parliament proceedings remained more or less stalled for another day over the issue of Manipur. Though the government did manage to push in some legislative business, the opposition continued to stick to its demand that the Prime Minister speak on Manipur in Parliament, while the BJP insisted it was all for a debate on the issue but not on the terms set by the opposition.
The sharpest ever attack by Prime Minister Modi on opposition unity. At a closed-door BJP meeting this morning, amid continuing parliament disruptions over Manipur, where he cited the terror group Indian Mujahideen and the banned Islamic organization Popular Front of India and even the East India Company, while deriding the opposition alliance for its new name, India. The Prime Minister attacked the opposition as defeated, tired and hopeless.
उन्होंने एक बहुत बड़ी टिप्पणी की कि इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस एक अंग्रेज ने बनाया था, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी भी अंग्रेजों ने बनाया था। आजकल लोग इंडियन मुजाहिदीन भी नाम रखते हैं, इंडियन पीपुल्स फ्रंट भी नाम रखते हैं, तो चेहरे पे चेहरे लिखाते हैं, सच्चाई कुछ और है।
Soon after this scathing attack by the Prime Minister, senior Congress leader Rahul Gandhi hit back on Twitter, saying opposition front will help heal Manipur and rebuild the idea of India in the northeastern state. Other opposition parties also criticized the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister is rattled. The Bharatiya Janata Party is rattled because all of India has together come on the same platform to fight the excesses and the anti-people policies of the BJP.
The war of words came in the middle of a standoff in Parliament over the Manipur crisis, over the opposition's demand for a statement by Prime Minister Modi.
Home Minister Amit Shah wrote letters to the opposition leaders of both houses, saying the government wants a discussion on Manipur.
आज मणिपुर जल रहा है, रेप हो रहे हैं, मणिपुर में मकाना जला है और आप वहाँ मणिपुर की बात हम कर रहे हैं, मणिपुर की बात हम कर रहे हैं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ईस्ट इंडिया की बात कर रहे हैं, हाँ इंडिया मीन्स ईस्ट इंडिया बोल रहे हैं।
देश जानना चाहते हैं, पूरा देश जानना चाहते हैं कि इनका जो कारनामे हैं वो कारनामे सामने आए, छत्तीसगढ़ पे भी चर्चा हो, राजस्थान की बहन बेटियों पर चर्चा हो, मणिपुर पे भी चर्चा हो।
Realizing that the opposition will not back down unless the Prime Minister makes a statement on the floor of the House, the government decided not to waste any more time and to push through legislative businesses. As a result, the Biodiversity Amendment Bill 2022 got passed in the Lok Sabha. And that is going to be the strategy of the government going forward, to introduce bills and get them passed amidst the noise and chaos, while a discussion on Manipur still eludes. In New Delhi, Megha Prasad for NDTV.
Now, sources have told NDTV that opposition parties may move the no-confidence motion against the government tomorrow in the Lok Sabha. The motion is drafted and will be filed tomorrow. This is to push the government to have the discussion on Manipur. So the big question, if both the BJP and opposition want a discussion on Manipur, then what is the issue? Well, one issue, the deadlock, is over which rule that discussion should be held under, and the other point is over what should be discussed. So what is it they are discussing? Opposition wants Manipur, but the government also wants to discuss crimes against women in other states and Congress ruled states. Let's go across to Megha now for more. So Megha, one point is that tomorrow we may have the no confidence motion being pushed by the opposition. But aside from that, take us through what are the sticking points over the Manipur discussion.
Well, it's, you've actually asked the right question, Gargi. When you say that both sides are wanting to discuss Manipur, then where is the problem? Well, from day one, this has been going on. First, the Prime Minister made a statement outside. That became a problem for the opposition as to why the Prime Minister spoke outside to the media and why did he not speak on the floor of the House when the House is in session. The Prime Minister's first responsibility is towards the parliamentarians in the House, and that he's accountable to the Parliament. Hence, it was his duty to speak inside the House. That's point number one. Then, of course, when the House started and the opposition started making a lot of noise and ruckus about discussing Manipur, the government readily agreed. The government agreed. The opposition then instantly changed the goalpost by saying that no, we need the Prime Minister to precede the discussion. At that point in time, the government wasn't that cagey about, whether the Prime Minister should speak or not. But all that they said is, we want a discussion. We want a discussion. Let the discussion happen. And as the norm is, at the end of the discussion, you would have the concerned ministry or the minister to make a statement. In this case, it was Mr. Amit Shah. Yet then the opposition said, well, no, we want it under a certain rule, which is 267, and you suspend all other business of the House and let the discussion happen. Gargi, today in the morning, the chair in the Rajya Sabha said so. I mean, it was live on all. We all watched it. The chair said that he had received some 50 different notices from the opposition MPs for the discussion to be held under Rule 267, and he said, according to his understanding, it did proceed, and that he was ready to allow a discussion under Rule 267. But the opposition did not hear anything of it. I mean, the ruckus continued, the noise continued. They did not even register that this is what the chair said, or they did not want to register. We don't know what it was. But at the end of the day, despite the government agreeing to the fact that let's have a discussion the way you want it, because they've been fighting for it for the last 3 days, yet the discussion could not happen because the opposition now says that it will have to be the Prime Minister, and if it's not the Prime Minister, then they are not going to allow the House to function. They will not allow a discussion on Manipur. At least they will not participate on it. So what happened today, Gargi, was that you saw how the Biodiversity Amendment Bill was passed. Another bill was passed in Rajya Sabha. You had Mr. Amit Shah get up and introduce a bill from his cooperative ministry. So all of that, now the government is clear that if this is what it is, and we have been repeatedly appealing that let's have a discussion. If you still want the Prime Minister to speak, that may not happen. So we are going to push through our bills.
Right. Clearly, the government prioritizing pushing through some business. Thanks so much, Megha, for joining us with all those details, and still no solution to that deadlock. But let's get you news now from Manipur. And the Manipur government has sought a detailed report from the Assam Rifles on how at least 718 Myanmar nationals in just 2 days, that's the 22nd and 23rd of July, were allowed to enter India without proper travel documents. This according to a statement by the Home Department late on Monday. The statement assumes significance as it asked the Assam Rifles how under its watch over 700 Myanmar nationals entered India in just 2 days, and this was as tensions were prevailing in the state. Let's go across to Ratnadeep for more. And Ratnadeep, give us more details regarding this issue.
That's right. In fact, as you have pointed out, Assam Rifles have been asked by the Manipur government through a letter that how could the 718 Myanmarese nationals who don't have a travel document were allowed to actually enter Manipur. Remember, India and Myanmar has over 1600 kilometer long border in the northeast. It's a porous border and it is guarded by the Assam Rifles. In Manipur alone, the border is about 390 kilometers, and in Chandel district, this people have come because there were a lot of fighting between the Myanmarese army as well as the resistance group and ethnic rebels of Myanmar. This has been on for past 1 year. In fact, in Mizoram there are thousands of refugees, ethnic refugees from Myanmar being sheltered. In Manipur there are hundreds, and in fact this issue of illegal immigration or illegal immigrant, as many would like to put it, is a political issue as well in Manipur. In fact, in the past couple of months, different pressure groups, particularly from the Meitei community, have been raising this demand of NRC-like exercise in Manipur, because there is a fear that there would be an heavy influx of illegal immigrants because of the situation that has evolved in neighboring Myanmar after the coup by the army. And therefore, the Manipur government, remember, had set up a cabinet subcommittee which was headed by a BJP minister who is among the 10 Kuki MLAs who have asked for a separate administration session now, Mr. Letpa Hawkip, and at that point of time, the Cabinet Subcommittee, in its first report, a copy of which is available with NDTV, had said that over 2,000 Myanmaris, people have come to Manipur and they've made settlements, and they don't want to move to the shelters that were designated for them. That's the part of a report, a government report. In fact, the plan of the Manipur government was to actually do a survey in terms of who is an indigenous person of Manipur and who is an illegal immigrant, and therefore that process had started. They wanted to store the biometric data of the people who have come from Myanmar and also put them in shelters. This is something which had drawn criticisms from some of the tribal civil society groups, because they had been alleging that in the name of trying to find out illegal immigrants, the Biren Singh government was harassing genuine Indian tribals of their rights. And in fact, Chief Minister Biren Singh had gone on record in an interview to NDTV a few weeks back, claiming that this has been one of the trigger points of this 2-month-old ethnic conflict that the state is witnessing.
And even during this tensions and conflict, more crossing over. So that's a matter of concern. Thanks so much, Ratnadi, for joining us with those details. And more stories of horror are emerging from Manipur. A 19-year-old tribal woman's escape from the clutches of her abductors in violence-hit Manipur has shown both the brutality and humane side of citizens. The young woman in Imphal had stepped out to withdraw money from an ATM but was kidnapped by 4 men in an MUV and then assaulted across 3 locations. Finally, she managed to give them a slip and escaped with the help of an auto driver who came to her rescue. NDTV spoke to the survivor at undisclosed location where she is currently staying. Take a look.
As violence unfolded in Imphal, several people tried to escape from violence-hit areas. A 19-year-old tribal woman claims as she was planning her escape and went out to get money from an ATM, she was kidnapped by a group of men from this area, and that's where her trauma started.
More stories of horror from Manipur, where women have been at the receiving end of the violence in this ethnic conflict. A young woman claims she was kidnapped by a group of men and then assaulted and handed over to a valley-based underground group on May 15th. She alleges she was taken to a hilly area and then 3 men took turns to rape her.
In police station na Bishempur police station na ipulunin so le police ho chun ita chun idongin white bolero ka indalin tai eng sit ka chungin a bole ka ti pha na hin adalovin bolero ya khamovin na so ba bolero ai ama wa hin club mi ho ka hi veti in lai cha hi poi agariu ba metal ho Mister ho tham cham ho kha wo ke pu ve ka ti na pha na hi hong kumin ka chek de te pha na hin azam ho vin ki cha ta vin azam ho vin pha na hi ama ho a ko na hi tai chu ibogen thai zo wa hi ibogen thai zo wa hi zun thang nge ka ti a hi ko zun nong chu so di pon na ai wa nga ko lung thema chu tai chu sai nom na kha kan nei in na zun thang nge ka ting ten pha na chu ka khot bo hi hlep pe vin ka mi hlep pe bo vin ka khot hlep ma wa hin ka to vin ka lung yang avai se sun ko wa ke ya en lo wa I vo pha na vin tui don nge ka ti le yong I don sa ai vin ka ma yo pu sun kom nan nei vin na da chun zan kha I bo eng si de vin I bo gen the yo vin ki chim na vin so wa chun ka mi hi an ken all in ka ki hlep min na so wa mul chunga pa na chun ka thi ka hing we ka hing ka ti ka hong kili su jing in na ka hong kili su in zawa men rot ka longa in auto rickshaw kha hi hong in.
The woman eventually managed to reach Kangpokpi and then she was referred to a hospital in Kohima. According to her complaint at the Kangpokpi police station, which she was able to file only on 21st July. She says she hid under a pile of vegetables in the auto she escaped in. More than 2 months later, she filed a complaint with the Kangpokpi police station. Now a case of gang rape, criminal intimidation and kidnapping with the intention of murder has been registered at the Porumpat police station. Police sources say they have recorded a statement of the officer in charge of the police station. She visited briefly and checked the CCTV footage in nearby areas. The police admit no arrests have been made, no accused have been identified, and they have not found any evidence in the course of their investigation so far.
The police say the investigation into this horrific complaint of alleged kidnapping and gang rape is underway, but the lack of evidence to corroborate what the victim has alleged is hampering the investigation, and it's this lack of evidence that the police are claiming that puts a question mark on whether these victims will eventually get justice or not. With camera person Ravi Shankar in Manipur, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
And thousands of people in Mizoram participated in a protest march or a solidarity march to support the tribals in Manipur. The marches even got support from political parties, including the MNF, ZPM, Congress and BJP. Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga also granted permission for government employees to participate in these solidarity marches. In other news now, controversial Haryana MLA Gopal Kanda has been acquitted in the suicide case of a former employee, Gitika Sharma, who died in 2012. Gitika's brother says he's shocked despite all the evidence of harassment against Kanda that he was let go. Kanda, who recently attended an NDA meeting, the brother says the family now feels scared.
Haryana MLA and former Minister Gopal Kanda has been acquitted of all charges in the Gitika Sharma suicide case. Kanda was charged with abetment to suicide, criminal intimidation, destruction of evidence and forgery.
मेरे खिलाफ एक भी कोई एविडेंस कोई कुछ नहीं था, ये सिर्फ बनाया गया था और ये किस सोच से क्यों बनाया गया था ये कोर्ट ने आज बता दिया है.
23-year-old Gitika was a flight attendant with Kanda's now defunct MDLR Airlines. She was found dead on August 5, 2012 at her Ashok Vihar residence in Delhi. In a suicide note, she accused Kanda and his aide Aruna Chadda of harassment. Months after Gitika's death, her mother Anuradha Sharma also died by suicide on February 16, 2013, leaving behind a note accusing Kanda and Chadda of forcing her daughter to take the extreme step.
He faced a lot of problems for all of 11 years. He has done nothing. And the trial he has faced for 11 years together. It's a very mistake. And we were hopeful for the trial court and we got acquitted.
Today, as Gopal Kanda walked free, Gitika's family was left broken and distraught.
Despite of having such strong proofs, documented proofs, with all the threat emails, threat messages, vulgar messages, FSL reports, despite the fact of having everything in the charge sheet, which is of 1800 pages, the acquittal has been done. It's a shock. It's a shock for our family for today. And we are scared that he might attack us again.
As the family continues to mourn the loss of a daughter and a mother, Kanda catapults back into political relevance. His Haryana Lokhit party is among the 38 allies in the Grand National Democratic Alliance.
The Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court today heard a petition filed by the Gyanvapi Mosque management against the scientific survey in the mosque premises. Now, last week, a district court in Varanasi had approved a petition which sought a scientific survey of the Gyanvapi Mosque premises by the Archaeological Survey of India. The survey was then stopped by the Supreme Court till 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the same morning as the survey had begun. This gave time to the mosque management to appeal at the High Court, and this hearing will now continue tomorrow morning. In an interview to NDTV, the Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra has indicated there will be no rollback of the GST Council's decision to impose a 28% GST on online gaming. He says it was a well-considered decision.
It was a path-breaking decision of the GST to decide to tax online gaming to 28%. It must have been difficult to come and arrive at this consensus?
Yeah, the online gaming taxation on the GST has been a long pending issue. It's been there for more than 2.5 years. But even I was surprised that the decision actually was absolutely, insofar as online gaming is concerned, it was absolutely unanimous. And it was well thought out, it was well deliberated, and a lot of consultation happened, prior to that. The gaming industry, they have various federations, all of them have met me, they have met others. We have taken their request on board. We are deliberating. The decision will be taken actually by the council. The officers have met. There are pros and cons both ways as to whether we tax it at the entry level itself or we tax each and every bet. The taxation, as has been claimed by the gaming industries, becomes very high in case it is taxed at each and every bet. Well, that fact is true. It's a fact. It's true. And that will certainly be taken into account when the final decision on this is taken. This is not for me to take this decision. This decision is actually to be taken by the council.
And now news of the weather. Heavy rain continued to lash parts of India. Several states like Karnataka, Andhra and Telangana were on alert due to the heavy rainfall. Schools were closed in some districts of Karnataka and they'll remain closed till the 26th. In fact, there has been water logging also reported. The meteorological department has also predicted an increase in rainfall over coastal Andhra Pradesh due to the low pressure area forming in the Bay of Bengal. Now in Himachal Pradesh, there was a cloudburst in the Gatsa Valley. This is in the Kullu district, which damaged houses, agricultural land in the area and also snapped the power supply there. So there you can see the raging river and that washed away houses in the area. Meanwhile, in Noida, next to Delhi, hundreds of cars got submerged in Noida's Ecotech 3 locality. Shocking visuals there, and this is due to increase in water level in the Hindon River. This is a tributary of Yamuna, so a flood-like situation in parts of Noida and Ghaziabad due to the rising water level of the river.